All right, guys. So today we're going to be taking a look at my way too early Big Ten preseason power rankings. Big Ten's got a lot of turnover, a lot of changes happening. You're adding 4 teams from the Pac-12. Michigan, your national champions, are losing a bunch. Ohio State is gaining a bunch. There's going to be a lot of turnover here, so let's go ahead and get into it. While I'm going along here, join me down in the comments section. Let me know your power rankings, who you disagree with, who you agree with, who you'd move up, who you'd move down, all that stuff. Let me know. All right, starting out at number 18, Purdue. All right, Purdue really dropped off this last year with the loss of head coach Jeff Brohm, which headed to Louisville, brought in Texas transfer Hudson Card at quarterback, but still kind of they struggled this year. I don't see a lot of changes happening this next season. Probably going to be a little bit the same. I think they'll kind of be, the seller of the Big Ten, most likely. Number 17, Michigan State. All right, so you bring in Coach Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. He's bringing in his backup quarterback, the freshman Chiles, with him. And Oregon State, Jonathan Smith, pretty good head coach. I mean, won more ball games than Oregon State's probably used to, but overall he's kind of a 500-ish coach. So I kind of question this hire in the long run on how good it's really going to be, but hopefully I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this hire. Number 16, Illinois. All right, so a couple years ago, Illinois was actually really pretty good in the Big Ten, but really didn't have a good year this year. Brett Bielema has had success before in this conference, obviously, but Illinois, I don't see them being very good this year and should be towards the bottom of the Big Ten probably. Number 15, Minnesota. All right, so I'm a big fan of their coach, PJ Fleck. Even in a down year, which is this last year, he's going to have Minnesota at a 500 record, have them in a bowl game at least. And in a good year, he's going to get you closer to 10 wins. So I'm a big fan of their coach. Again, I think he can get things right this year. Got some so-so transfers coming in, but really the Big Ten is just going to be tougher this year with the adding of those 4 teams. We'll get to in a little bit. 14, Northwestern. All right, really the surprise of the Big Ten this year. Had a really good year under their first-year head coach, David Braun. The problem is he's not really bringing in anything. They have no transfers coming in really at the moment. And so I think it might have been kind of a shocker last year, just one of those years where, okay, yeah, we win this game, everything's going right. But I don't know if I see that happening again this year, but I hope I'm wrong. Number 13, all right, Washington. I'm as surprised as you are there this low, all right? Coming off the championship appearance, they lose a ton of talent regardless, no matter who their coach is. They lose Michael Penix Jr., Roman Dunze, Dylan Johnson. They lose a ton. But with losing Kalen DeBoer, their head coach, to Alabama to replace Nick Saban, that created even more of a max exodus. Lost their entire offensive line. Lost Jabbar Muhammad, for example, among a ton of other guys. And with new coach Jedd Fisch, I thought they might be able to bring in some of his Arizona guys with him, Noah Fafita in particular, the quarterback, but it didn't happen. So their quarterback next year is going to be Will Rogers, Mississippi State transfer. I think he's like second all time actually in SEC passing yards under that Mike Leach offense. But I think Washington's going to struggle this year. They're joining a better conference. They're losing a ton. Unfortunately for Jedd Fisch, I think this is going to be a bit of a struggle for Washington this year. Number 12, all right, Indiana. I'm a big fan of this hire this year for Indiana. James Madison's coach, Curt Cignetti. Let me take a sip. Was that Joe on Impractical Jokers? Oh, did take a sip. Anyways, Indiana has added a ton in the transfer portal, like 40-plus guys, I think, and a bunch of them coming with him from James Madison. Also bringing quarterback O'Rourke from Ohio. I think Indiana's going to shock some people this year. While I don't think they're going to, be a top 10 team in the Big Ten, I think they'll beat all the bad teams, though. Number 11, UCLA. All right, Chip Kelly was borderline, like almost getting fired last year, actually, at UCLA. You lose one of your many quarterbacks, Dante Moore, former freshman phenom, at least coming out of high school. He transferred to Oregon. We'll get to him later. But I think they're going to struggle moving to this new conference. Really in the Pac-12 under Chip Kelly, you kind of guarantee UCLA is going to be a top 25-ish team. Always, at least the top 30 probably team. Maybe not on the top 25, but kind of right on that border cut line. I think they're probably a top 50-ish team this year. Probably not going to be very good, but also not going to be very bad, Number 10, Maryland. All right, so you can almost guarantee they're always going to be good under the current coach. He's done a pretty good job. I thought last year was kind of their chance to make a run with Talia Tagovailoa. They lose him, obviously, to the NFL. I thought they'd be better this year, but the backup quarterback really looked good in the bowl game. So hopefully there is hope there, and their same situation as always, probably similar, like I said, with UCLA. They're kind of always a top, 30-ish team, top 40-ish team probably under Loxley. And I think probably similar this year, they'll be top 50-ish team. Not going to beat anybody. Probably they shouldn't be, but also not going to lose to the bad teams. Number 9, Nebraska. All right, so Matt Rhule, as a head coach, you can usually count on him turning it around at some point. And I think that's going to start happening now. They got in the 5-star freshman quarterback. They've got some solid transfers coming in. And like I said, usually he turns it around at some point. Think about it, Baylor. It wasn't just instantly they're winning the Big 12 championship or in the Big 12 championship. It took some time. So I think you give him a chance here, and I think you'll be all right in the long run. Number 8, Wisconsin. All right, similar situation. That sounded weird. Head coach Luke Fickell coming in from Cincinnati last year, and you rewind to a year ago before they hired Luke Fickell. He's probably number 1 on everybody's job board. He got Cincinnati to a playoff. Nobody else can say that. Not many other people are going to be able to ever say that. And I thought Luke Fickell was really number 1 on everybody's job list, and Wisconsin got him. Wasn't the best year in year 1, but I think with time, he's going to improve that program and get them back to kind of where they were whenever they were making the Big Ten championship every year. He's added some nice transfers, in particular quarterback Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. I'm a big fan of his. He was kind of injured this year, so can't really judge that too much. But think back to a couple years ago, he was rumored to be like a first-round draft pick at one point. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my voice. Just came in from track practice. But yeah, I think Wisconsin should be improved, should be a top 25 team probably. Number 7, USC. All right, Lincoln Riley gets a lot of hate because he left Oklahoma for USC, and they kind of sucked this year with Caleb Williams. They lose Caleb Williams. Yeah, Miller Moss coming in, looked really good in the bowl game. But I think Lincoln Riley's a really good head coach. The guy has made the college football playoff multiple times. Not many people can freaking say that. He gets a lot of hate, I think, kind of unnecessarily. I think he's a really good coach, and I think he's going to get USC back on track. Should be a top 25 team this year. Number 6, all right. Biggest surprise probably on this list, Rutgers. All right. Greg Schiano, big fan of his, the head coach. They were really good this year. I know they went 7-6, but like for a Rutgers team, I thought they were pretty good, pretty competitive. They've got the number 1 rusher in the Big Ten returning. They've also got pretty much everybody else returning. Rutgers is going to be a force next year. They're going to be a top 25 team. Watch out for Rutgers. Looking at their schedule, I think they're going to make some noise next year. You heard it here first. Go make some bets on Rutgers. Number 5, Michigan. All right, so they're losing a ton. We talked about that at the beginning of this video a little bit. We kind of touched on it. Losing Jim Harbaugh. Offense coordinator Sharon Moore steps in, did a really good job as interim coach, had 2 top 10 wins over Penn State and Ohio State as interim coach. You lose J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, among others. You've got Donovan Edwards coming back. That's kind of your key piece here. Who's going to be your quarterback? Is it going to be Orgy? Fun name to say, but I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy going forward. They brought him in for like some wildcat, scenarios this year, but I haven't really seen him throw in practice, so I'm not 100% sure if he's the guy. Also, is there going to be a little exodus as far as losing a bunch of players that were Harbaugh guys? I don't think they will. I think that's why you make the in-house hire, but you never know. And how is Sharon Moore going to look as a permanent head coach? Sometimes guys win as interim head coaches and they never win as head coaches. It happens. And with that being said, this was Michigan's best team, these past couple of years, this run they've been on, making the playoff multiple times. This was a pretty stacked team. I mean, I think I could have won a national championship as the head coach of this team. Jim Harbaugh had not beat Ohio State until this team got there. Then all of a sudden, Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. That's kind of how that happened. But yeah, Michigan's obviously going to see a drop-off. How severe is it going to be? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we look at the end of this, at the end of the season, would not be shocked to see Michigan number 8, for example. Number 4, Iowa. All right, Iowa, I think you're going to get the same old Iowa. They're going to play good defense, outstanding defense. They're going to suck on offense. I think it'll be a little improved, but it's going to be questionable. They've got quarterback Cade McNamara come back from injury, former Michigan quarterback. You may remember him before McCarthy took over. They're going to be a top 25 team. They're going to beat the bad teams. They're not going to be able to beat the good teams. It's going to be the same old Iowa. But that's a top 25 team nonetheless. So here they are, number 4. All right, so fair warning, you're about to get a little controversy in here. Number 3, Oregon. All right, I know they've got a huge transfer portal class coming in, and I'm really impressed by the transfer portal class. I've got them in my preseason top 10, and you're number 3 in the Big Ten. I mean, it's pretty impressive as is. I know a lot of people are probably going to have them at number 2 and number 1. I'm going to have them at 3. You bring in Dylan Gabriel, quarterback from Oklahoma. I think he's better than Bo Nix. He beat Texas by himself last year at Oklahoma, and we saw what they were when he was out. Not pretty. You got a ton of other transfers coming in. In particular, they loaded up on defense and the secondary and all around. Like Jabbar Muhammad from Washington this week transferred to Oregon. They've loaded up there. Again, I just questioned Dan Lanning on, can you beat the good teams? Obviously, they were close to beating Washington this year, but they didn't beat Washington. So, I don't know. Can they beat the big ones in the Big Ten? I don't know. You're in a tougher conference now in the Pac-12. It's not going to be easy. Week in and week out, it's going to be tough. So, yeah, I don't know. They've got a chance to prove me wrong, though, for sure. They're loaded in the transfer portal. Number 2, Penn State. All right. James Franklin probably benefits the most from playoff expansion. You look back for, a couple years ago, you look back to that. When Ohio State almost beat Georgia. Michigan also made the playoff. Penn State were probably the 5th best team in the nation, but they just couldn't make the playoff because the other 2 teams are in the top 4. They benefit the most from playoff expansion. They should be a playoff team this year. You got Drew Aller back. You got a ton of other production coming back. Bringing the receiver Fleming from Ohio State. They've done some pretty good things in the transfer portal. It's more of a quality over quantity approach, and I like that. I think Penn State will be really good this year. Top 10 team for sure. And number 1, Ohio State. All right, so I actually have Ohio State number 1 in my preseason top 25 in general. They have loaded up in the transfer portal. Their whole defense is coming back. And you add Caleb Downs, 5-star safety from Alabama, All-American. You also add quarterback Will Howard. You lost Kyle McCord, obviously, but is Will Howard an improvement? Maybe. But with these pieces, he's going to be. You also add running back Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss, led the SEC in rushing. You've also got Treyveon Henderson coming back. You've got the Alabama lineman coming in. Ohio State's loaded. Bringing in Bill OBrien, offense coordinator. I know it's not the prettiest, the sexiest hire for a lot of people, but he's won games as a head coach. He's a good OC, I promise. Heck, had success at Penn State as a head coach. Had success in the NFL as the Houston Texans head coach. I think this is the team to beat this year, Ohio State. But yeah, I think they're stacked. I think they're going to be really good. So do me a favor. Let me know who you would move up, who you would move down. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Or just, heck, give me your whole power ranking. Go ahead and do that. Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. Most importantly, subscribe.